What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Life's Playbook podcast. This is episode 2, season 2 of the show. I know this is technically supposed to be episode 3, season 2 of the show. So this is supposed to be last Thursday's episode. And, I didn't get around to posting this episode technically on Thursday. And real quickly before I get into today's episode, I posted I was going to address, why these droppings have been getting later and later. This is technically the second time now that an episode has been dropped late, and I guess I am coming out and gonna explain why that is, and maybe it'll hopefully it'll clear up in the future. But if you are new to the show, obviously my name is Quinn Jackson. I'm the host of the show. I'm the host of the Life's Playbook podcast. I'm 19 years old, obviously very young kid with his own show. I think it is incredible, and the show is doing well. It's doing well, I would say, in my opinion. It's been running for a month now. I would say it's doing pretty well for what it is so far. Getting lots of views, lots of likes on my videos. The TikTok is looking up. YouTube is looking up. So the Insta account's looking up. Everything's looking up, I would say, in my opinion. Again, I encourage you guys to continue to like and subscribe and follow to all the socials to this show. It is greatly appreciated, and it'll continue to help my show skyrocket even more. But yeah, I'm Quinn Jackson. Again, this is for anybody who's new to the show. My name is Quinn Jackson. I'm 19 years old. I'm the host of the show, and it is a sports podcast nonetheless. Talk about the NBA, college football, and the NFL. As of late, I have, this is the second time technically where an episode is dropping way later than it should have. You guys deserve to know why that is. So this is kind of a little personal moment with the host right now. But don't worry, we're going to dive into today's content. This isn't just going to be a personal, experience episode. We're going to get into today's episode. Let's get into, the personal message, I should say, to you guys, my viewers, as to why these last couple episodes and why every episode is getting later and later. Well, the short answer is yes, I do have a life outside of the show as well. I am a college student and I have a job. And those two things are also very demanding, as well as trying to stay consistent with the show and trying to, keep the show up, keep it up and not down. And I understand wholeheartedly that the more episodes get delayed and delayed and delayed, it's going to tank the show, and I don't want that at all, because there is progress with the show. I'm not just saying that to make my show sound credible by any means. There is actual progress that I can see with the show for what it is, considering it's only been out for a month. So there is some good positive growth with the show, and I encourage everyone to continue to keep that growth growing. Those are two pretty demanding things in and of themselves, college and having a job, and I work essentially almost every day, including Thursdays, which is why I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to, you know, record, shooting episodes on Thursdays. I'm still trying to figure all that stuff out, but it will get fixed eventually. I will find an easier way to, drop these episodes on time. Yet whether I have to record the day before and then just upload the next day or something, or if I just need to record in the mornings, whatever it may be. But it will get fixed. Thursday episodes will get fixed. Sunday episodes, again, they're fine because I don't work on Sundays and I don't have college on Sundays, so I can still record and stream at the normal times. So that's all fine and dandy. And Tuesdays are Tuesdays. I got to start getting back to being more consistent with those. But it is of no secret that, I do have a life outside of the show as well. I'm not saying I don't like the show, and I'm not trying to purposely put the show off and when I drop episodes off. But those two things, having a job and being in college, are pretty demanding in and of themselves. And I'm surprised I'm able to somewhat balance these three things decently well, I would say. I'm surprised I'm able to keep up with these things. But rest assured, the episodes and the on time dropping will get restored. And I will continue to be consistent with the show as always, and those things will be fixed. Again, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to fix these consistency, but I will nonetheless. Rest assured, they will be fixed. I also got some personal things with myself, not talking about the job and college. I do have some other personal things that I'm combating right now as well, and that's kind of set the show back as well. I don't know, like with the personal thing right now, I don't know if that's going to continue to set the show back. I hope it doesn't, but I'm not gonna. Again, this is a sports podcast. I'm not gonna dive deep into what it is I'm dealing with, but I'm just letting it known out there that I am dealing with something much more personal than just having a job in college. And I'm not going to dive deep into that because that's not what this show is. This is a sports podcast. But again, I'm just letting you guys know that I am dealing with something much deeper. And I don't know if this deeper thing is going to set the show back even more. I hope it doesn't. And again, I'll continue to try to be more consistent through that issue as well. But it is no secret that those three things are what's keeping the show, the consistency down as of right now. And again, I am actively working on trying to find ways to be more consistent, whether I need to record the day before and then just drop it first thing in the morning. That might be easier, or if I need to record earlier in the day, if that's easier, like in the mornings, whatever the case may be. But rest assured, the consistency will pick up. It will be back to how it was in the first month of the show. So don't worry, guys. If you like the content and you are a general fan of the show, it will pick up. The show will pick up again. It's just again, I do have a life outside of the show, and my life is pretty demanding outside of the show as it is. So I'm just trying to keep up with all four of these things, really, all four of these things at the same time. But again, the consistency will pick up. So I just wanted to come on here and address why every episode keeps getting later and later and later. More specifically, every Tuesday and Thursday episode keeps getting later and later and later, and why Tuesday talks haven't been recorded as much as they should be. So I just wanted to come out on to the show, spend the first 10 minutes of the show kind of addressing all that stuff. And now it's time to get into today's actual content and today's actual episode. So, with that being said, I'm your host, Quinn Jackson of the Life'sPlaybook podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 2 of the Life'sPlaybook podcast. Wait, real quickly, before I get started, there is some light at the end of this dark tunnel that I'm currently going through right now. There is some good news. There is some positive to the show. I will address that at the end of the episode. But, so stay tuned for that. At the end of the episode, I will address what the good news for the show is. So, with that being said, let's get into today's episode. Season 2, Episode 2 of the Life's Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Quinn Jackson. Let's get into today's episode, shall we? And that is, today is Super Bowl Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at 6:30, streaming exclusively on Tubi. If you have Tubi, it's streaming for free exclusively on there, or you can just watch it on Fox. It will be streaming on there as well. Rest assured, I will be dialed into today's Super Bowl, and I know, again, it might not be the teams that we wanted to see in the Super Bowl, but rest assured, this Super Bowl will still get, a high amount of viewership, and they will still make money off of this nonetheless. Kendrick Lamar is the halftime show. I don't know if I'll watch that, but just, in case you guys haven't been keeping up with the Super Bowl, it is today. It is at 6:30, streaming exclusively for free on Tubi, or you can watch it on Fox, and Kendrick Lamar is the halftime show. Now, with that being said, this past week has been Super Bowl opening night. I've dialed into, clips on TikTok that the NFL and Fox Sports pages have been posting, and I've been keeping up. And I was keeping up with I don't know if you guys have been watching, but I Show Speed and Kai Cenat had their flag football game last night as part of the Super Bowl night, opening night for Super Bowl weekend. It capped off the Super Bowl weekend, obviously, and it did really well. from what I could see. There were a lot of great stars that I recognized, a lot of great stars that I saw, and it did really well. And some, I might even argue, it might be better than the Super Bowl. I don't know, but I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with that. I didn't watch the whole thing. It was streaming on YouTube, so I just didn't have time to watch it. And I don't know if you guys caught it or not. But if you did watch the Kai Cenat I Show Speed flag football game, let me know in the comments what you thought of it, who you were rooting for. But I saw, the clips, some of the clips of it on again TikTok and Instagram, nonetheless. And I think Speed's team won. They beat Kai Cenat's team. Quavo, yes, the rapper Quavo, he scored the game-winning touchdown for Speed's team. But I should have watched it. I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt. I should have watched it because I love watching both those guys, and it seemed to do really well, and it was pretty good. And hopefully this is something that they kind of make a tradition. I guess you could say they kind of bring this back. Every Super Bowl weekend. I think from what I've seen, it did pretty well, and there were a lot of stars that showed up. Again, guys like Quavo, Destroying, Drewski, obviously Kai and Speed, and Cam, Shadur, Sanders Jr. All those stars came out. Even females like Angel Reese and rapper Big Lotto, and all those fun guys that you might be fans of. But I'm kicking myself in the foot. I didn't get to see it. I didn't watch like the whole stream on YouTube. I should have. Maybe next year, if they do it again next year, I will watch it. But if you guys got a chance to watch that flag football game to cap off Super Bowl weekend opening night, let me know in the comments who you were rooting for. Let me know in the comments if you liked it or not, and if you'd want to see it come back every Super Bowl. But with that being said, it is Super Bowl Sunday. I am rocking with the Eagles, obviously. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's stop the Chiefs. Let's halt the three-peat. Again, don't get me wrong, a three-peat would be nice to see. It would be history nonetheless. But let's be honest, we don't want to see the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm talking from a fan standpoint, not from a media standpoint. I'm talking from a fan standpoint. And from a fan standpoint, we don't want to see the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat. We want to see a new, different team. Now, I guess the Eagles technically aren't a different new team because we saw them 3 years ago on this stage in 2022. But we want to see somebody else win a Super Bowl for once, and we want to see players like Saquon or Zach Bond and guys like that who have never won Super Bowls before. We want to see those guys finally win their first ring and see smiles on those guys' faces. So again, I'm talking from a fan standpoint here, not a media standpoint, because the media, obviously, if the Chiefs win the three-peat and they get the three-peat, they have a lot to discuss, and they'll have a lot of stories and narratives to talk about this coming off season and whatnot, like in terms of the dynasty debate. Who had the better dynasty, the Patriots, the Tom Brady Patriots, or the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs? There'll be a lot of stories and narratives to talk about if the Chiefs three-peat. Whereas if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, there may not be too much to talk about in terms of narratives and stories if the Eagles win the Super Bowl. But that's a media standpoint. I'm talking again from a fan standpoint. From a fan standpoint, I think we can all agree that we do not want to see the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat and win another Super Bowl. It is history, I understand, and it would be exciting to see a team three-peat for the first time. I personally am rocking with the Eagles to win tonight. The game is at 6:30 tonight. I will be watching. I hope you guys watch as well. Next episode will be my reaction to the Super Bowl and what I think whoever wins or loses, whoever loses specifically, what they could have done to possibly come away with this Super Bowl. But that will be the plan for the next episode. But again, personally, I am rocking with the Eagles to win tonight's Super Bowl. Eagles get it done. I would love to see Saquon Barkley win his first ring. It would just be nice to see, new guys, new faces on the big stage and not have to see Patrick Mahomes and the Swifties and the refs win again. But again, I understand the history and the stories and the narratives that you can build behind the Chiefs three-peating. I understand all that stuff, and it's good for the media, I suppose, if the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat. But, again, from a fan standpoint, I think we can all agree that we do not want to see the Chiefs three-peat. We want to see somebody new. We wanted to see the Bills or the Commanders go at it in the Super Bowl. I wanted to see the Bills and the Eagles go at it in the Super Bowl. But I guess that just wasn't the case, and that's not what people had in store. That's not what the script had in store. With that being said, let's talk about a couple of other things. I understand that it was NFL Honors Night was a couple of days ago. I kept up with all the awards. I saw who won, comeback player of the year and defensive player of the year and all that fun stuff. But I guess the main thing that I would like to talk about, and as far as regarding the NFL honors, I guess I'm a little late to this now, but Josh Allen won the AP Most Valuable Player. I think it is rightfully deserved. I think this is his year. I thought he had a great year. I understand Lamar Jackson statistically had a better year than him, and I understand that he, he just played all around better than him, and he did beat him head to head in the regular season, and it is a regular season award. So postseason accomplishments do not contribute to the fans voting. But I think that this was really Josh Allen's year. Again, the MVP is what I'm mainly talking about here because I think that's the one that really got people stirred up, more specifically Ravens fans stirred up about this. Joe Burrow won Comeback Player of the Year. Pat Surtain won Defensive Player of the Year. Jaden Daniels won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Kevin O'Connell won Coach of the Year. And all those guys I think were deserving, especially Jaden Daniels for the year that he had. But the most controversial award of that night was obviously the MVP. I think Josh Allen deserved to win it. I know his stats didn't match up to Lamar Jackson's, and I know that, Lamar Jackson beat him in the regular season, and it is a regular season award. But I have a question for the Ravens fans. Because this exact situation was the exact same situation last year, and Lamar Jackson won it. Lamar Jackson's stats last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the narrative last year Ravens fans let Lamar Jackson's stats didn't match up to Josh Allen's stats last year, and he still ended up winning because his team had the better record than the Bills? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we saw this exact same situation with the Ravens and the Bills last year. Although the difference is last year Josh Allen had the better stats statistically, and he didn't win it then. And Lamar Jackson won it last year. And his stats were nowhere close to Josh Allen's last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that how are we going to say stats matter now, Ravens fans, when you weren't saying that last year? It just doesn't make sense to me. Again, I understand it's a regular season award, and stats do matter to an extent. But at the end of the day, when you really look at it, who meant more to their team? And I know I'm throwing this card out there, and this card has been played many times now, but you got to really think about it. If you're a Ravens fan, you got to really think about it here. Who means more to their team? Lamar to the Ravens or Josh Allen to the Bills? And if you look at those two teams objectively and whose team, I guess you could say, is more of a super team, the Ravens have more of a super team to the Bills. I think the Ravens could win with or without Lamar Jackson being present in a game. Now, I'm not saying Lamar Jackson is trash and the Ravens can win without him or not. I'm not saying that he's not essential to the Ravens' success. I'm not saying any of that. Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal player, MVP caliber player. He's he will always be MVP caliber to the day he retires. He's phenomenal. He's all that good stuff. And again, I'm a Browns fan, and I'm saying this about Lamar Jackson. He is that guy. I'm not saying that he's not essential to the Ravens' success. I'm not saying that he doesn't matter to the Ravens. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm saying that this year, if you look at the teams objectively, obviously the Bills don't have a super team like the Ravens do. The Ravens have, a proven wide receiver one in Zay Flowers. They have Mark Andrews, a better tight end than Kincaid. They have King Henry, one of the best running backs and the most physical running backs in the league. So they got guys. They have essentially a super team on offense. They got guys. You look at the Bills don't really have a proven wide receiver one. They don't really have, they got James Cook, but he's nowhere to the level of Derrick Henry, right? So it was really, I would say Josh Allen really did mean more to the Bills than, Lamar meant to the Ravens this year. I understand, again, the stats, they didn't add up. Lamar Jackson essentially blew Josh Allen out of the water in stats. But, I mean, again, you guys, Ravens fans, you weren't playing this card last year when Lamar was essentially in the same situation where his stats didn't exactly compare to Josh Allen's, but he still won it over Josh Allen, even though Josh Allen objectively had a better year than Lamar Jackson last year. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that was the narrative that we were rocking with all throughout the 2023 season. I'm pretty sure that was the narrative. So how come now it's not the same? You know what I mean? It's not the same. Like, I understand Josh Allen got blown out of the water in stats, and he statistically shouldn't have won it. But again, he means more to his team. His success means more to the team's success than Lamar's success means more to his team's success. The Ravens can still be successful on any given day if Lamar doesn't play his best. They can still be successful because they have the pieces to still be successful. If Josh Allen doesn't play his best or he has a bad game, the Bills have no chance of being successful. So I just think that the levels are different. And you could also chalk it up to a bunch of other things too, like voter fatigue. Like, we're tired of seeing Lamar Jackson win it. Or you could, go with, what TikTok is saying and saying they just gave, Josh Allen the award because he lost to Patrick Mahomes by a field goal in the AFC Championship game and they just felt sorry for him. You could chalk it up to a number of different excuses. Again, voter fatigue, or in the league was just feeling sorry for him. But I actually think that Josh Allen, this was his year. He showed that this was his year. Understand that he didn't get it done against Patrick Mahomes and the crew, but you got to remember that Patrick Mahomes is that dude. He's in the Super Bowl for a reason. His team is in the Super Bowl for a reason. So I understand that, Josh Allen didn't have the numbers, but he had the people and he had the year. And I actually think that this was Josh Allen's year to win the MVP. And I think it's rightfully so. If I had a chance to vote for the MVP, my vote would have gone to Josh Allen. Not off of feelings, not off of any of that stuff. I think I would have voted for Josh Allen purely based off of his value to his team means a lot more than Lamar's. At least this year. This year specifically, Josh Allen's value to his team meant way more than Lamar Jackson's value to his team. And I'm talking this year. I'm not talking career-wise. I'm not talking any of that stuff. I'm talking about this year specifically. Again, I'm not calling Lamar trash. I'm not saying he's not valuable. I'm not saying that he doesn't contribute to his team's success, because he is essential to his team. He is. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that he's not essential. He is essential to his team's success. But this year, I just think it was Josh Allen. It was all Josh Allen. I think this year was the Bills' year. And I understand they didn't get it done, but it's Patrick Mahomes and the crew. Can you really underestimate Patrick Mahomes and the crew? Can you really go against Patrick Mahomes and company? With the team that the Bills had, it really was on James Cook and Josh Allen to carry the Bills to at least stand a chance against the Chiefs. And I don't know. I just think that Josh Allen was the right call, right guy. Again, props to everybody else that won their awards too. They all deserved it. Defensive Rookie of the Year went to Jared Verse. Forgot that. But everybody else, props to them. They deserved it as well. But Josh Allen, I think he deserved this. He earned it. And I think, if I had a chance to vote, I would have voted for Josh Allen as well. And I don't understand why the Ravens fans are so, they're so, it's a controversial thing to them, because I swear it was the same narrative last year where Lamar Jackson's stats were nowhere close to Josh Allen's, and he still won it because his team had the better record that year. Well, now when that narrative is in favor of the Bills, why are we going to complain about it now? Like, you see what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense to me. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm getting the stats mixed up for the 2023 season for these guys, but I'm pretty sure that was the same narrative that we were rocking with last year, and Lamar Jackson won it then. So why all of a sudden, when the narrative flips to the Bills' favor, we want to cause an uproar about it now, Ravens fans? Again, I'm talking to the Ravens fans specifically. Why are we causing an uproar now when Lamar Jackson essentially got the same kind of treatment last year when he lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and he still won it, despite his stats not being nearly anywhere as good as Josh Allen. So, and again, correct me if I'm wrong about all of this, but I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me now to start a controversial uproar and all these other narratives about Josh Allen winning MVP when that same narrative gave Lamar his second MVP. So I don't know. I think Josh Allen deserved it again. Great players, both of them. Both of them are MVP worthy, and they will always be MVP worthy for the time that they're in the NFL. But one guy just had the better year than the other, and the people voted that Josh Allen had the better year over Lamar. Lamar, maybe next year you will get your third MVP, but not this year. This year was Bills Mafia all the way. This year was Josh Allen's year. With that being said, this has been Season 2, Episode 2 of the Let's Playbook podcast. Again, the Super Bowl is tonight. I know this episode is kind of short for what it is, but this has been Episode 2, Season 2 of the Let's Playbook podcast. The Super Bowl is tonight at 6:30. I'll be watching, and I said earlier in today's episode that next episode will be my post reaction to the Super Bowl and the team's futures ahead of them. Again, I'm rocking with the Eagles all the way. Eagles, get the job done, please. Get the job done, Eagles. Beat the Chiefs and don't let the Swifties win. We don't want to see a three-peat, at least not now. We don't want to see. I'm talking from a fan standpoint. We don't want to see the Chiefs three-peat again. I'm talking from a fan standpoint. If you're a fan of the Chiefs, this doesn't apply to you. But I'm talking to everybody else that's not a Chiefs fan. We don't want to see this. We don't want to see Patrick Mahomes win his third Super Bowl in a row. We don't want to see it. So Eagles, please get the job done. I'm rooting for you guys. Fly Eagles fly. Again, the Super Bowl is streaming exclusively for free on Tubi if you have Tubi, or you can watch it on Fox. It's at 6:30. Eagles Chiefs, Kendrick Lamar's the halftime show. I'll be watching. I hope you guys watch as well. But yeah, with that being said, let's get into the ray of sunshine that has been blessed onto this show. So, amidst all of the other personal issues that I explained earlier in the beginning of the episode, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. The search for a co-host has finally ended. I do have a co-host. He is a longtime near and dear friend of mine. He stepped up at the last minute and he asked to join the show. Again, the criteria was must have access to podcasting equipment and you need to be knowledgeable on the NBA, NFL, and college football. He has both of the requirements and he will be joining the show within 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now, he'll be joining the show. Again, he's a near and dear friend of mine. I'm excited to have him on the show. I think he is a huge step in the right direction for this show, and he opens the door for many more different conversations and whatnot, different opinions. So you guys aren't just sitting here listening to my opinions. He'll offer a lot of different things. He's a funny guy too. I'm excited to have him on the show. He is in the military, so that will be a little bit of a challenge. Because he is in the military after all. It will be a little bit of a challenge to try to get him on the show all the time. I'll have to work that out with them, see if he's able to be on the show for Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. But he will be introduced when the episode comes, and when he's ready to make his debut, he will be introduced. He will be the co-host of the show, and it won't just be little old me. It won't just be me anymore. It'll be the both of us running the show. So I'm excited to have him on the show, and he is a big step in the right direction for the show. He brings a lot to the show, not just ball knowledge, but he'll bring a lot more to the show. I can guarantee you that much. So, with that being said, this has been Season 2, Episode 2. That's been the good news. Amidst all the other personal things that I'm dealing with right now, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. So, the co-host has been found. This has been Season 2, Episode 2 of the Life's Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Quinn Jackson. Again, the co-host will make his debut. He told me about 2 weeks from now. So, with that being said, if you like the content and you want to continue to help the channel grow, like and subscribe on the bottom and leave a comment on what you thought on the Kaisenat I Show Speed flag football game. If you watched it or not, and who you were rooting for, and what were some of the best moments in the show, in your show game, in your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. With that being said, I'll catch you guys Tuesday for episode 3, season 2 of the Life'sPlaybook podcast. I'll catch you guys Tuesday in an attempt to catch up for all the episodes that I have missed so far. With that being said, peace out. I'll see you guys Tuesday.